Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's be completely honest. Are you happy with your job? The fact is, a huge number of people can't say yes to that. Too many of us are stuck in a job we've outgrown or one we never really wanted in the first place. But we stick it out and we give reasons like, what if the next move is worse? And I've put years into this place. And maybe the most common one, isn't everyone miserable at work? But there's a difference between reasons for staying and excuses for not leaving. It's time to get unstuck. It's time for strawberry.me. They match you with a certified career coach who helps you get from where you are to where you want to be, either at your existing job or by helping you find a new one. Your coach helps clarify your goals, creates a plan, and keeps you accountable along the way. Go to strawberry.me/career and get 50% off your first coaching session. That's strawberry.me/career.
Hello and welcome back to the Psycholegal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
All right. And we have a very, very special episode today. Today we have Amye Archer with us. We're super excited. Amye is the author of 3 books, including her memoir, Fat Girl Skinny. She also hosts a podcast, Gen X, This Is Why, where she and her sister revisit shows and movies from their Gen X childhood. You can find her at amyearcher.com. Welcome to the show, Amye.
Hello, guys. I feel like all of my needs are met right now. Like if I have a nervous breakdown, you're here. If I'm in need of legal trouble, you're here. So
Got you covered. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Thanks
do you need any more?
me.
Maybe if you have I guess we need to get a doctor in here too.
We do need some medical people on standby.
So today we're talking about Sister Wives. This is season 1, episode 9. It's so funny. I didn't even write down the title because I just called it the 11-day honeymoon.
I think it's called like the honeymoon special.
Yeah,
yes,
honeymoon special.
Yep.
So
I like 11-day honeymoon better.
Yes.
It really hits home, like how treacherous this was.
And I just like to say, I didn't go on an 11-day honeymoon and I had no kids, no other wives or husbands or anything. I had very little going on and I didn't even go on an 11-day honeymoon.
We went on our honeymoon for our 10th anniversary because we had our twins, so we didn't get a honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
And we still didn't take 11 days, 10 years later.
Yeah. It is excessive. I'm with the gals on that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We'll hear all about that. But Amye, tell us about your Sister Wives journey and how long have you been watching the show and all that good stuff?
I've been watching the show from the beginning. Now, I did go in and out probably around season like 5 or 6, maybe. I remember very well them moving to Vegas. And then I think I kind of zoned out for a little bit. So I rewatched it recently, mm-hmm. but originally I had watched it from the beginning. And my obsession I'm obsessed with polygamy in general, which we just talked about, and cults. And I feel like they're cults.
There's some overlap. Yeah.
There's a Venn diagram would be pretty much a circle. So what turned me on to this show was I was watching Big Love. Did you guys watch Big Love?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Loved it. And as my sister and I called, the one with the trashy bill Paxton. Bill Pullman's like too classy for it. Yeah. I loved that show. And then I started watching Sister Wives. And I think there was a weird time when the show started, like where TLC had some just kind of, they were exploiting like these weird family structures. Like we had Kate plus John,
yes,
or whatever.
John and Kate plus 8.
Yeah. Thank you. So I was watching all that trash. I don't know what I was doing in my life. Obviously not much. So I started watching. What year did this premiere? Was it
2010.
2010, yeah.
Okay, so my girls were 4. So I was probably just sitting at home doing not much. So, raising them, but you know what I mean? I didn't have much of a life outside my home.
Well, I think isn't every mother watch John and Kate plus 8 and go, oh God, thank God that's not me. Jesus.
It makes it seem not so bad.
So bad. Your life seems better.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But I've always been interested in it. And I've always, right from the beginning, didn't like Robyn, was on the anti-Robyn train, felt for Christine, as we see in this season. She's clearly like, just get me out of here. I hate all of this. And Janelle's always been my boo. Love Janelle. Mary?
Yeah. Well, when the last season 17, hold on, my microphone's doing something weird. So everyone started watching it again. And I said to Jess, have you really ever seen Sister Wives? And she was like, not really. And we actually did an episode very early on when we started the podcast where I explained Sister Wives to her. And she was like, oh, wow.
I didn't hear that one. I might need to.
Yeah. It's literally like maybe the 6th or 7th episode we did. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I explained the show to her because I, like you, had sort of dipped in and out over the years. Mm-hmm. And, recently it started to get good again. And so Tess was like, well, I'm gonna have to check this out. And pretty soon she's telling me I'm rewatching the whole series. I'm on season 3, episode 5, so she drank the Kool-Aid.
I did. Yeah. Now I know all the kids' names, all the ins and outs of things. Because for a long time I was like, which kid is that? Which kid is that?
I think I still have trouble with the kids' names, but that's just me in general. Like as a teacher, I'm always giving people nicknames because I never know who's who. Mm-hmm. I'm just bad with names, but there's some kids that, just are superstars in their own right. Like truly.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Logan.
Yes. Logan.
Oh, yes.
Logan is love Logan. Yeah.
Yeah. And he played a pivotal role in this episode.
He did.
Yes, he
Logan
did.
Holding things together as
I haven't rewatched it in a long time. And I've been listening to you guys cover it on the rewatch and talking about how parentified he was. And I guess that just didn't stick out in my mind. And when I watched this and I watched the one before this and the one after this to kind of get context, wow. He's like their parent.
Yeah.
Essentially. He's parenting those kids.
Yeah. Well, I'd heard because if you are on Facebook and you're part of any of these groups for podcasts like Juicy Scoop or Sissy Squad or whatever it is, people talked about the show constantly. So I knew who the major players were. I knew that Kody and Mary get divorced. I knew that, then he and Robyn get married. I'd heard all the rumblings, and I had watched the show a long time ago before all of this had happened. And I remember watching that first episode and Logan getting up early and making breakfast. And I remember feeling like, this is awful. Like, I don't want to watch the show. This isn't okay. This 16-year-old kids getting up and making food for 5 other kids. How many other kids? And little Savannah's like,
I know it's hard to watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like I feel that way about, even though it's fictional, I feel that way about Shameless. Have you ever watched Shameless?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
My students would love it. And I watched like 2 episodes. I was like, this is awful.
It's sad.
I can't watch these kids being treated this way.
Yeah.
Tough.
But obviously, so I find, what makes it so good now is we know what the end looks like. And that's, I'm now back watching Vanderpump Rules. And that's the same reason why I'm watching that show again, because it's like, you want to see all the little moments in time that
all the little Easter eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, my voice is like...
No
it's allergy season here in the Northeast.
Yes. Well, let's start off with a little trivia because I actually went through. Do either of you have any idea of how many times 11-day honeymoon came up? 11 days. How often 11 days came up?
I'm going to guess that however many times it was, Christine said it the majority of the time.
Brooke, do you have a...
Well, I think Janelle and Mary seemed the most upset.
Okay.
Christine was kind of in this episode, kind of wishy-washy. I think she was trying to be diplomatic, but then Mary and Janelle would start in and then she'd be like, yeah, that's not right.
Janelle didn't even talk to him for like,
she wouldn't take his calls for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was mentioned at least 20 times.
No, well, I was surprised because when I started doing this, I thought, oh God, I'm going to hear it a million times. It was all within the first 15 minutes, really. Mm-hmm. Janelle mentioned it 5 times, Mary twice, Christine once. And Robyn and Kody never say 11 days. They talk about the honeymoon. They talk about these things. They talk around it. But it was mainly that beginning part where Janelle was pissed. And we've never seen Janelle this mad unless someone's spending money.
You're right. Because I think Christine was more hurt.
Yes.
And Janelle was more pissed.
She's angry.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And Mary longs for Kody, I guess, and was just lonely.
Mary needs
him.
a Dame product. That's all I have to say. She is like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. They were so into each other.
Yes.
I totally forgot that.
Yeah. And Mary was, this episode, I was surprised at how upset Mary was. Mm-hmm. And she said, well, we'll get to it towards the end when we talk about all the stuff that they said. But yeah, she was, I don't know how to describe it, but they're all upset to one degree or another.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just dive in. We start off the episode and they're already in San Diego. And boy, these two are giddy.
Oh,
just floating on air.
Yes, they are. I have to say, I'm already going to start diverting us. I have to say, and I have said this for a long time, I really do believe they are deeply in love. And I'll tell you when I saw it the first time, maybe season 15. That's how long it took. Maybe season 14 or 15. Kody was away from Robyn. I forget what was going on, but he was away from her for like 3 or 4 days. And I want to say he quarantined for a couple of days and then went back home to her. And the way she greeted him was do you guys watch Little House on the Prairie? Did you grow up?
Oh, yeah.
We watched it. Yeah.
It was very like Carolyn running out of the house, grabbing onto Charles as he's coming down the driveway, right? It was this like, oh my God. And you could see the way they were like embracing and kissing one. I'm like, these two love each other.
Yeah. They were like, all over each other.
They really do. It's, I think it was it Peyton that said, my dad just found his soulmate. And I do believe that. As much as I hate Robyn, I do believe that's kind of true. So they're pretty happy.
It was a little shocking to me seeing how affectionate they were, because I don't think we've ever seen them before or since be that comfortable to be that affectionate on camera. Because at first they weren't married yet, so they're trying to do that whole thing. But I get like when the wives are around, they're not going to touch each other like that and do all that. But apparently they're okay with being the wives watching it on television after it's been filmed, but as long as they're not there. I mean, they were so handsy and just like, it was like, wow, that was shocking to me.
Yeah. So they waited. Do we think that they waited to have sex?
I don't
know.
No.
So Amy's saying no. See,
no.
I thought, no, they didn't wait. And then I saw this and I'm like, God damn it. These two look beyond like something else that's going on here. So maybe they did. Maybe it was this like,
oh my God. Do you think it was a situation where they were doing everything but sex?
I think so too. Yes. Yeah.
Like
I think it was
even some soaking and some jumping on the mattress.
All the Mormon techniques came out. Because they were congratulating themselves on, it's been a long wait. It's been 10 months and we did it. Maybe we did all the right
there were just
things.
Some like sad hand jobs in between.
I think so. Well, and very quickly because, he had to always get back.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, Janelle's waiting for me. It's already 9 o'clock. I got to get home.
And I mean, don't forget the kids were always there.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know what hotel sex is like. Like this is probably like, that's what I chopped this up to. Oh, they're having hotel sex for the first time. Yeah. So it's just, anything is in play.
Goes.
They're not sneaking off to the convertible Lexus anymore where there's no backseat.
Yeah. They're not locking themselves in the bathroom while the kids are watching TV or something.
But yeah, they really do pat themselves on the back a lot about, we waited 10 months in this community. I'm like, you know what? should you really be bragging about that? That in your community, people just don't get to know each other very well.
Right.
So they just rush to marriage so they can have sex. And then what, so that then they can take another wife. I mean, do you not see, is this part of the broken system here? It's a problem, but it's so crazy how, and then they kept talking about it, but they kept talking around it. Like there's certain things we can do now. There's certain ways we can be.
We know what you're talking about.
Yeah. We got it. Like it's enough already, you two. But yeah, no, it was. And then Robyn says, is this Robyn who says this? Like wives are comfortable with other wives. They're just not comfortable with a girlfriend or fiance.
I think it's Robyn who says that. Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, so, okay. So again, this is also part of this religion that is so misogynistic and ridiculous, where it's like, it's okay to be mad here, but don't be mad over here. Like once you got married, you should turn off your feelings. She's a wife now. This is okay. It's the most cockamamie way of thinking about things.
Did you guys watch Seeking Sister Wife?
Mm-hmm.
I called it Dimitri Snowden. Was it Dimitri Snowden?
Oh my God.
The ritual, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you get a girlfriend, you can bang all the girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
But once it's a wife, then that's okay. So I feel like they're afraid maybe he'll take the Dimitri Snowden loophole.
And
just keep banging some girlfriends.
That
guy was ridiculous.
And also too, I disagree that Janelle and Mary and Christine were okay with her as a girlfriend and a fiance. I think they were gritting their teeth through the whole thing, and they still are,
Yeah.
Ay.
But and then we find out that Robyn, I didn't realize this. Robyn asked again, Robyn, you're part of this family. You're going on this 11-day honeymoon, and you ask your mother to take care of the kids again.
Yeah, that was very strange.
Yeah.
And then,
I thought that was one of the benefits of polygamy, that you have all these women around with a lot of hands and apron strings to help you out. I mean,
right. And then Mary had to call her and say, oh, is it okay if we take them for a couple of days? Because we have to film this picnic, we have to,
the saddest picnic.
Yeah. To look like we're actually, all one big happy family.
Yeah. Number one, I don't understand anybody who enjoys camping and roughing it. I just don't understand that. But if you do, hey, all the power to you. But to have to go rough it with like 17 kids, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
And Logan had to make everybody's, hamburgers and hot dogs so that they could interview the wives,
Because did you pick this up though? We'll get to it, but they can only let a man operate that grill.
Oh yes.
So thank God that Logan was there, because without, testosterone, you can't operate.
You can't light a fire.
Yeah.
It doesn't work at all.
So then we start to see the interviews of Christine and Mary and Janelle together. And Christine, in this one, she does mention that she's having a hard time. And this is where Janelle really gets into how pissed she is. Just like 11 days.
My boo. I love her.
Yeah, but she's angry. She says she's usually so logical with the problems in marriage, but this one she's just not logical about. And then Christine points out very rightly, no, it is logical to be pissed, as each of them describe their own crappy honeymoons.
They're lame honeymoons.
That they're all trying to pretend like we're great. I'm like, no, you're pissed. She actually has like a hotel room. They're like doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, they're surfing, ziplining
stuff. Yeah. And you guys just drove around listening to Phantom of the Opera? Like, blah.
Do you feel like Robyn was trying to be the cool girl? Like with all this surfing and ziplining and shit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, I don't know if that was genuine. I feel like she was just trying to be like a cool girl. Like, I'm going to do all this
on her life list.
God.
I would kill to see her life list. I really would love to see that.
I don't think she really has one. She didn't even call it the right thing. I mean, she's talking about a bucket list, and she doesn't even know what it's called. So I don't think
it's like a manifest list. Like, I don't know what she's talking about. But she was like, oh, I want to zip line. I want to learn to surf. But then they're going to zip line, and she's like, I'm a nervous wreck. Like, I can't even look at it. I can't even, I understand the adrenaline and, but I just feel like she was trying a little too hard. Like she's trying to be, I'm what Mary and Janelle and Christine are not. Like I can put on a little wetsuit and get in the ocean with you. And, your hags of wives are home raising all the kids.
Them and their stretch marks and everything.
Yes. Yep. Well, and it's interesting because Mary in the confessional, she's talking about like, this last year, it's just been full of love and acceptance, but also pain and jealousy and misery. And this, you're just like, yes, this is how you feel. This is how this last year has been. It's been full of pain and misery and jealousy. And, I feel
like the whole time their couch interview and the picnic interview, all three of them were so contradictory. They just kept going back and forth between being like, oh, I'm okay with it. And I love Robyn. I'm so happy she's in the family, but I'm really angry because I'm not getting the kind of attention I need. They were literally, it was like back and forth the whole time. It's like, oh God, you ladies, they're really trying, but then they can't hold it in. And then it comes out.
They're trying to like compartmentalize, right? Like I can be angry about not getting the time with Kody, but this has nothing to do with my feelings towards Robyn. But like, you can't separate those two things.
Yeah.
Like they're cause and effect. Like you can't separate those out. And I find it hard to believe you can compartmentalize any of that.
Yeah. Which is, of course, the whole thing about this religion, all of this that's so ridiculous is the fact that it's contradictory. It's like, you're supposed to have these emotions and feelings, but you're not supposed to, but you're having them. And it's a very normal, natural feeling to have. So you're constantly going in this circle. It's crazy making.
And I feel like when this works, like where polygamy, quote unquote, works, and I don't mean it's successful, I just mean it lasts, is usually when you have really young girls who don't know any better. Right. And they don't have any self-esteem or anything.
Or any frame of reference or anything.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, because we were talking last week, it's because it's really like gaslighting. Like you said, like jealousy is a normal, natural feeling. And it lets you know all feelings. I think Tess said this last week, let you know if something is wrong. And they gaslight them by saying, oh, you shouldn't feel jealousy. Like you should be above that. This is a higher calling. And it just doesn't work like that. And these women are suffering.
Yeah.
You can see it in this episode. You see it just constantly and up until the present day. They've just been suffering with this. It's sad.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind
sorry
of
to bring it down, but
no,
it's true.
You're right though. It's just all about suppression. Like just suppress how you really feel. Suppress how you really feel. And we know anger is a secondary emotion. So if Janelle is like that angry, there's something under that.
Yeah.
And what is that? It's probably the jealousy. Like you can't suppress that jealousy that long. You just can't.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then, but the main thing was I was so surprised how much Mary missed Kody. Like she just really longed for him. Like, I just miss him. I can't see him.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. It's just like, whoa, okay.
She is like one step away from being like, he's my king. Like it is so weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. And she said at one point, I think it was later in the show, but she said something about how everybody knows that Kody and I have gone through a lot in the last few years and been having a really hard time. And, saying that she really needed his attention and wanted to feel as special as anybody else and all that. And I'm thinking, well, what happened? Please elaborate. What is this stuff that you guys have been going through for the last couple of years? Because that's still a mystery to me of how their relationship broke down because they were so in love and affectionate. And what did happen?
Janelle even says, right, at one point, like they couldn't keep their hands off each other.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to find out what happened between, that and Robyn coming into the picture?
Was that, so this has been alluded to, right? Allegedly. Was this a first affair? Isn't there rumblings that there was an affair that she had around?
There's rumblings
on TikTok.
On TikTok. Okay. So
consider the source and not well established. Yeah.
I think too, like when they didn't Kody say that she brought Christine into the family as a peace offering, like to make peace? Mm-hmm. I think maybe just the tension between Janelle and Mary was so intense. And that's when he started to kind of break down with Mary because he saw this, Kody doesn't like anybody who makes waves. There's a troublemaker. So like Mary was really having a hard time with the introduction of these wives. Maybe that was the problem. I don't know. Because he tells Nancy later in a therapy session in like season, I don't know, 14 something. That Mary, like he felt tricked into marriage by her. And that
I haven't gotten there yet. Okay.
Oh yeah. And that like she manipulates him essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I feel like she did that with Robyn. Like they were probably struggling. And because we know Mary's the one who says you can get a new wife and finds these wives.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if she's like, oh, well, we're having trouble. So why don't you find a new wife? Like, I wonder if she manipulates him with other women.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
A secondary manipulation.
Well, Mary mentions something where she talks about how when they're in the picnic area and they're talking about what's been going on. And Mary says that when I feel like I'm not getting the attention that I want from Kody, I disappear. I disappear from the family. I retreat. True. And I bet you anything that what Mary does when she feels like she's not getting what she wants from Kody, she retreats and
she wants him home.
Yeah. And she wants him to come to her. And I bet you anything, he probably just was like, I'm not coming to you anymore. Guess what? And so he's like, forget this. And then she's sort of out on her own, and maybe she thought Robyn was going to be this peace offering or something like that and circled back around and then realized like, oh, okay. He seems to really like her. I'm going to retreat again. Like that's her. She says it. That's her MO, which is a very young thing to do. It's like what I did in my teens.
Yeah,
like,
I know. I was going to say that there's this immaturity to Mary that is just really annoying. And it's like, she's never gotten out of that pattern.
No, she hasn't, as we see with the wet bar. I can't wait till we get there.
Tess, would there be any other bigger dream than to have Mary in your chair and you try to unravel that?
No. I know. I see that they have these therapists and I'm like, God damn it. If only I could get there. We'll travel around with them and go on that honeymoon with him and the anniversary trip with he and Christine. It's like, God, that would be a dream.
If you have to bring your therapist on your anniversary trip,
bad.
Things are real bad. They're in the gutter.
Well, they've had this therapist, Nancy, for, like over a decade, and she has not been able to crack the code. I don't know.
Because they only see her like once every 3 months. Like these people need
daily
sessions every week.
Yeah. Well, or, she's been on the side sort of saying to Christine or Janelle, like, hey, maybe you should get out. Maybe this isn't really good.
That's true.
Because even if they weren't polygamous, but if someone came to me and told me, I have this partner, I don't feel like they're committed to me. I don't feel this. They treat me this way. They treat me that way. I'd be saying, well, maybe this isn't right. I mean, that's the problem is that the whole show is based on the fact that they're this functional family, and really they're dysfunctional and beyond dysfunctional. And thank God, because we wouldn't be here otherwise. But
I have no idea about the Vanderpump Rules scandal because I don't watch that show.
Oh,
so Mary Payne had to explain it to me like 17 times over on Pink Shade. And then the one day I just said to her, I've decided to give everybody grace on this because I think it's the equivalent to how we all freaked out when Christine left Kody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like nobody knew, but we all knew. And we all knew how huge it was. So I think the two things are pretty similar. Yeah. And thank God we have them both.
Yeah. I am constantly amazed by how much people get invested. I mean, obviously we're sitting here talking about this on this podcast, but I'm constantly amazed. Like people were like, leaving nasty messages on people's social media like that. I always feel like is this bizarre step to this whole other direction. I could talk about that Vanderpump Rules thing constantly, but if you don't understand it, it's again, much like Sister Wives, you kind of have to understand the basis of the entire show because the entire show is about cheating. The entire show. So we hear about all of their own honeymoons. Christine, now hold on. Is the Christine, she talked about her honeymoon and they said they road tripped and listened to Phantom of the Opera. Is this the infamous road trip where she eats the chili cheese?
No,
nacho?
I don't think
that's
so.
a different.
That was before. That was before they got married.
And I think Mary was in the car for that, or Mary and Janelle also.
Oh, they were for the chili.
I think they were going nachos? They were going on one of their. Because remember, Kody and Mary were counselors at some sort of youth camp, and
oh Jesus, I did not know that.
Yeah, I think that's how they met. how they met Christine. Cause I think that, she was around those kind of activities because her family was obviously very heavily involved in all that. But yeah, no, that was before, they had that. I don't know if you've read the Sister Wives book, Amy, but that goes into more detail. I have not read it,
but I've heard it read to me by Ace and Caitlin.
Okay, good. Yeah. So, there's a lot of details in there that are good, that are relevant to this. But yeah, and I remember too from the book that Christine said that, not only was their honeymoon was so lame because Kody didn't plan anything. Mm-hmm. And she just kind of assumed that he was going to plan it, because she's a romantic, but no, he planned nothing. So they basically just took a long drive. I mean, those are the words she used, and listened to Phantom of the Opera. And it's like, wow. And yeah, same with Janelle. They drove to Wyoming to his parents' ranch.
And stopped along the way. For, 3 days or something. And then Mary piped in and said, I just had my 20-year anniversary and it was only a 3-day trip. So
is that when he took her to Mexico and asked her to do in vitro for?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
She's still pondering it, by the way.
Okay.
God. If she shows up to the season 18 saying, I think I'm ready to do the in vitro.
I'm finally ready.
Oh my God. Ready, the Sister Wives fandom will just explode.
Come on, Robyn, let's go. You offered.
You offered. You can't back out now.
Yep. Yeah. I heard what you said about those stretch marks. Now you're going to have my baby.
Right. We're going to give you some stretch marks.
And then we see Robyn and Kody. They are going surfing. I actually went surfing once in my life. It's freaking hard. And I was 38 at the time. And I was like, I am way too old for this. It is so hard. And I was very impressed. The two of them were doing as well as they were, because I was just fumbling all around.
Yeah.
But yeah, we meet Aaron, their surf instructor, nothing like a white guy with dreads,
And Kody is so intimidated by this guy.
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy.
Because Kody thinks he's a surfer. And
well, we learned that he likes to pose in front of the mirror and stare at himself.
Right.
Himself.
He thinks he's a surfer, but he got knocked down a few pegs when Aaron showed up.
And then, of course, the surf lessons are being, cut back and forth with the sad picnic. I mean, such a sad picnic. Yeah,
the juxtaposition, back and forth was sad.
But, the thing is, obviously, we know that TLC is springing or the production company is springing for Kody and Robyn to, they didn't have any money. 11 days in San Diego. Surf lessons are expensive. All that. Yeah. And then it's sort of like, God, you guys don't even get to go to like a restaurant or a buffet or anything.
Well, they did go out to dinner.
Cook your own food, you kids.
Oh, you're talking about the family.
Yes.
The family didn't get to go out. Yeah.
No, Robyn and Kody were out to dinner. They're having a grand old time. But like,
they weren't even in like a really scenic, beautiful place. No. It looked like they were like behind a strip mall.
Yeah.
It's
like
a
there's
Days Inn
a dumpster off to the right that we can't see. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah. So, all the kids, they're trying to get all of the kids together. And then we get back to Janelle. Janelle's still at the couch, and she's like, anytime he spends time with her, she's cutting into our time. Like, she is just back on that 11 days. This is where she says 11 days in like quick succession. When I said, "Ooh, I better start writing this down," how many times she says 11 days.
This is where we see glimpses of season 17 Janelle, who was setting the record straight on that couch.
Yeah.
We see little glimpses of it here.
Yeah. But I think that, just this idea, because Kody's most valuable commodity to all of these women is attention. And so for him to give all of his attention on that kind of level to them, to Robyn for 11 days, that's huge.
Yeah.
I'm constantly amazed when I watch everyone getting married, everyone getting ready, like the kids and the wives, everyone getting ready, just how, it's just so funny because they have so many kids, like how Truly, I just worry for her sometimes because it's just like, where is Truly? And then Christine goes, where's Truly? Where's Truly?
Where's my kid? Where's my kid?
She just lost her again.
Just ask Logan. He'll know where everybody is.
Well, you look over and go, oh, there's Aspen. Aspen's taking care of little Truly.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we're back to these two surfing. And then we're off to the San Diego Zoo. And again, they are all over each other. I mean, weird. Like he could not stop touching her.
He had his hand on her ass. I mean, it was a lot.
Were they slow dancing? I swear to God, they were slow dancing.
Oh, they were slow dancing?
Yes, at the zoo. It was
this was the wildlife park, right?
Yeah, the wild animal park. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. It doesn't make me want to slow dance with someone. Like it doesn't put me in the mood.
They're just doing this because they have to film it for the show. They're just want to get back to the hotel and
yeah, that's true.
Then we learn about the animal kingdom and how there are some animals, and then we learn about these rhinos. And I was like, "Ooh, this is rough," because there's one man and the 3 female rhinos, and this is basically again, even the I feel like even the people they're getting at this zoo are set up by the production company to just like show how they're like polygamists and tell us how positive it is. It's good for rhinos to have other women there. Remember?
Is it really a badge of honor that you have something in common with the animal kingdom?
with rhinos and lions? I know.
Like in Cody's world,
of honor. Yeah. Oh no, but Kody does. Cody totally thinks that. I guess. He sees himself as a lion.
That's true.
Yes.
True.
Oh, and then this is gross. He even asked the tour guide I think he's talking about the rhinos, if they all cycle at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
We need to hear about the menstruation.
Yeah. Creepy.
Oh, I thought it was mating. I think they all had to mate. I felt like I thought
cycle at the same time.
Oh, no. He said so it's like humans when their cycles sync up.
Yeah.
Oh, he was talking menstruation, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about the male has to work to get them pregnant all at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that would mean their cycles have to be similar.
Yeah. See, he's used to these kind of issues.
He's been down this road. He knows what to do.
He knows how hard it is to impregnate,
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then we're back at the family picnic. All the kids talking about how all the kids are accepting Robyn's kids and life is great. And then we're back to Robyn. This is where we then see Robyn and Kody dancing, slow dancing, just suddenly. And then they're at the flight line. They're going ziplining. And then Kody says the same line he said in season 17. Nothing scares him except poverty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe throw a condom on, dude. Like, why are you having 20 kids then? Oh my God, that drives me crazy with him. That drives me crazy.
Well, but I mean, is their religion much like the Catholic Church, where you're not supposed to prevent pregnancy in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, it's like however, like you populate as much as you can, guarantees your entry into the
celestial kingdom
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, God decides how many kids you're going to have. But I don't know. I doubt that they. Well, I don't know. I have no idea. But I think that they use these rules when it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
And when it's not convenient, they don't. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like you would say something like, my greatest fear is losing one of my children or disappointing my wives, or like he's always talking about money. Always.
Yeah.
It's real weird. I mean, he's essentially sold his family out for money. So
and then hasn't handled it very well.
Nope.
No. And then this is where we see Logan taking over as Kody steps in, takes charge. And again, I mean, the whole thing, you would think that the production company would have scouted something out ahead of time. It was just like the saddest little, like teeny tiny little, like wet thing that you.
I love when Logan's like, look at these leaves. They're soaking wet. Look at this ground. And I feel like, this is where I feel like my girl Janelle is just like, she could light that fire. She could grill these burgers. She could own this place. But like her religion is almost holding her back because she's like, oh, we have to let the man work the grill. Like, it's so weird to me.
Yeah.
You tell me Janelle can't cook. Come on. She lived
and then we see her this last season, right? We saw her in this last season, like doing all this stuff herself.
Yes. Yeah, she likes camping. She knows how to do all this stuff.
Yes. We're talking about the saddest picnic on earth.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
Back to the saddest picnic ever.
Well, and then Janelle does say something. She does say, they treat their children like young adults, just talking about how much Logan has stepped up to the plate. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. She's like, yeah, we let them hang out with their friends and do this and do that, but we treat them like little adults. It's like, oh yeah, you do.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah.
You've been treating them like this for, I don't know, poor Aspen. When did Aspen start being the mom? I mean,
it's really sad. It's really crazy.
Well, and I don't think that it's a coincidence that neither Logan nor Aspen have children now. Like they're both in their 30s.
Yeah. And
married,
I feel like they're
kids.
not super involved with the mothers. Like we don't see them a lot.
We don't see them. Yeah,
like
they're not interested in being on camera.
Right. They might be, they might have great relationships off camera, but we don't see them on camera hardly ever, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is it's also, I was just going to say, that's just part of their culture is they always talk, you can't have that many kids without older kids taking care of younger kids. It's not right, but that's just reality.
Well, and it builds resentment. Like we have a situation, my husband's a twin and he was an accidental and his older siblings were 13 and 10 years older than him. And they because his mother was working, they had to really help raise my husband and his twin. And they're not happy about it. Just ask them. Happy about it. Like they became pretty much live-in babysitters at 13 and 10. And so I think that happens a lot and it does build resentment.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
so twins run in your family.
They do, but my girls are identical twins. So that's just a random thing. Right.
And he and his twin.
His sister. Yeah.
Oh, sister. Okay. So they're fraternal.
They're fraternal. So now my girls are like primed. They could have twins. Because the gene is on his side, runs through them.
Do you think they could marry twins? And then they could be on
get a
Extreme
TV show?
Sisters?
Oh, God, they could be the same. I don't know.
Same.
I don't know. I can't.
And all live in a house together and, conceive children at the same time.
That Christina is, I've started calling her Maleficent. She's like Cruella de Vil. She is like back there just cooking up potions and shit. She is.
Are you talking about Christina, not Jessica?
Or not Christina, Jessica. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jessica.
Well, they're both pretty weird, but yeah.
She's telling the camera like, I touched the baby first, technically, John. Like she's trolling him through the TV show now. Wild.
Oh, poor John.
Wild.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't like that John anyways. I'm okay.
See, I didn't see the last season when they got together. So I don't know if he's terrible or not.
I don't know. I just think he's so young. I just think, he's really, really young. I just don't know. I don't think he knows how to communicate well. And again, you would think that they were part of this family too. Like Christine and this guy, they got married really quickly and then she's pregnant. It's like, Jesus Christ, whoa, people.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's not get to know anybody really well. Let's just start having children with them. So this is where Mary says that she's upset about Kody being away because they need to focus on each other right now because they're at such a critical point. And she just says, when Mary's happy. So this is the part that I think is really interesting about Mary. She says, when she's happy with Kody, her relationship is better for the other wives. And when it's not, she tends to detach. So you can see how she kind of manipulates the situations, right?
Yeah.
Kody's not paying attention to me. So I'm going to be mean to you, Janelle. I'm going to be rude or detach myself from you. And I think that it comes back to because she only has one child, she can really detach and kind of be like, well, you want me to take care of your kids, forget it, and moves away.
She doesn't need them. Like
they need her. And then, this is one of Mary's things that drives me bonkers is how she is constantly like, well, if the world, if I was blessed with all these children, if I wanted to have 7 or 8 kids, but I can't. So, but it's like you have this family, you're part of this culture, but it's like, it's only when it suits her.
Right.
She wants it when it works for her.
I think too, like it's a power thing with her. Like, I think she really leans on that power of being first wife, quote unquote. And then she realized very quickly that the power lies in the women who can reproduce, right? Who can have children in this type of marriage and situation. So she feels like that power is slipping away because Christine and Janelle were able to give Kody all these children. I'm not saying I agree with that or that's right, but I think that's what she's feeling. And so she just can't hold any of it. So it spills out everywhere. Like she doesn't know how to process. Like she really needs to talk to somebody about this.
Yeah.
She does.
Maybe
she
you should talk to someone. Yeah. We should send her that book.
And then, Janelle talks about, how her relationship's always been very logical. She hasn't been as needy as some of the quote unquote, the other women.
Mary.
As Mary. And then apparently Christine's just perfectly in between.
Christine seems pretty easygoing, I have to say. Like, I don't know, we know now that Kody paints her as a monster and she always has been. I don't get that vibe at all. She's very, very conciliatory towards Robyn. She's very much like, I'll watch the kids. I'll help you. Robyn's like, we know she's hurting. We can see it. And she says that, but like, I'm not getting a mean vibe from her at all.
I mean, she just had a baby, I think she's focused on that and she's got her kids and she doesn't really have time to ruminate about this so much, but it's brewing under the surface, as we know, and for a long time.
And then we see Kody and Robyn. They're at the Blue Point Coastal Cuisine.
Oh, you got all that.
Yes, I did. Where are they? Because, it's San Diego. It's like, I wonder if I've been to any of these places. I was trying to see, but they didn't go anywhere that interesting.
They're not going to go anywhere fun. Come on.
No, that's true.
They probably don't even go anywhere that serves alcohol. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's my other question. But when we saw Mary earlier this season 1, we see Mary and Kody in Mexico. They had to be drinking. They were in that scene where he's like on camera asking her, let's talk about in vitro. And I mean, she's got the, it's hard to understand it on a podcast, but she's got like a drink and how she's like trying to get her straw over here and,
a
little out of it. So I feel like they might drink.
I think if you have a family that big, you can't drink because it's going to start getting crazy.
Really? I was thinking, God, you have to drink, right?
I don't know. I feel like I personally would have to drink, but I also feel like if I'm reading the religion right, like, I don't think it would be allowed, but I'm not sure.
It's no alcohol, no caffeine, which would really do me in. I would think it 5 minutes in this religion.
Oh, God.
That's the other thing.
Sat on that picnic.
They're all sleepy and cranky,
sober,
and sober.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. And then Kody starts. This is where they start this new campaign where Kody and Robyn are. It's all about being sensitive with each other. We need to be sensitive to each other. We need to take everyone's feelings into consideration, and then we're, they're eating this very nice meal, talking about being sensitive to the other ones. And the three of them, we keep cutting back to this picnic where the three of them are in these chairs that we see, once COVID hits, they're in those
the
camping chairs constantly talking about this stuff. And Christine, it's ridiculous that she longs for Kody. She feels silly. And then Mary says that she wants, I don't understand this note, but Mary wants the world to revolve around Kody. They're having this discussion about like, what's the role
she
that
says
Kody should play.
She's like, this whole relationship only works if Cody's at the center. So why shouldn't your world revolve around him? I think that's a normal thing. Because Christine's feeling like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot that I'm like missing him so much. So I think she's trying to make Christine feel better. But again, like just this internalized misogyny that Mary brings with her all the time. Like, we should make Kody the center of our universe. It's like, okay, Mary.
Well, I think that's the only way she thinks she's going to get attention from him. If you give him attention, he'll give you attention, but we see it doesn't really work that way. And it was funny because like when they were at, I think when they were at dinner, he was saying that he was kind of not looking forward to going back home because he knew that he was going to face these landmines, as he called them. And Yeah, and that's when Mary says she wants him to spend more time with the three of them, filling their emotional tanks. So, I mean, they just don't seem on the same page. Like, I feel like Kody's just trying to get away with, the bare minimum and, focus. He's really just interested in Robyn and Mary she thinks he's just going to come back and amp up the relationships with the other wives. I don't think so, Mary. I mean, have you noticed like where his attention is?
Maybe you guys will know this, but how long was the span between Christine coming in the family and Robyn?
16 years.
16 years. Yeah.
So I just feel like, again, you are a totally different person when you are in your 20s and you're in your 40s. And like, I just don't know how it's almost like Kody's trying to start a new life and just dragging his old life behind him. And it's like, I just feel like he needs to, and I guess that's where we're going to go now, right?
Well, yeah, now they're there.
18, where they're just going to be like, okay, this doesn't work anymore. Like, I think, if he didn't do it right away, if Robyn came in 2 years after Christine, for example, maybe it would have been fine. But this is so clearly Robyn is meeting some needs of Kody that, when he was 20 years old, he didn't know how to pick a partner to meet those needs. He probably didn't even have those needs.
Yeah. And the wives say,
I don't know.
The wives say that basically Robyn's getting a better version of Kody. They got like the 22, 23-year-old Kody, who didn't know anything. And she's getting a much different version. And how do you go? How is he supposed to go back and get that type of relationship with these women he's been with for 20 years?
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem possible to recapture that.
Now that he's monogamist, quote unquote, if they want to get that show going, right? There's been talk of like, will these two start courting? So I'm sorry. I think it would be really interesting to see Robyn as the first wife. And what happens when he gets some new people coming in? What happens? But I don't know. Do you think that's the thing do you think he's really going to keep producing children?
No.
And financially, they're having to sell that house, right? I mean,
they're selling Robyn's house?
Yeah, there was talk of that.
I missed that one.
Because they don't have...
I think it was McKelty who said...
Oh, McKelty, yeah.
She said
they have to sell the house.
She didn't say they had to sell the house. She said they're looking to move from Flagstaff to someplace less expensive. So, read between the lines, but...
Yeah.
I just think Kody is like a little kid and likes the next shiny object. And he was so enamored with this lifestyle. And I think Robyn is now the new shiny object. I don't even know, though. I don't even know if he still feels that way about her, but he did in the beginning.
Yeah. I think he does still now. Remember when she got COVID and he was just, I just want to get COVID so I can go in there and be with her.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, so this is really interesting. So we're back to Janelle. So Janelle starts to sort of reveal to us what's been going on since Kody has been gone. And she says, her emotions have been all over the place because she was hurt. She didn't talk. So first she says, I didn't talk to Kody for the first few days. And then she says, well, we didn't talk at all. I was ignoring his calls for the first 7 days. And then she mentions 7 days. So we're from a few days to 5 days to 7 days. So, and if the honeymoon was 11 days, we're talking, you were pissed the whole time. She's like, I'm fine now. I'm okay. But those first, few days to 7 days were really, really rough. And then she said that he got on the phone and then just said all the right things. And I really want to know, what are those right things?
What was that?
What did he say to you to make you feel
gross? Could you imagine being like sweet talked by Kody? Yes.
Well, and when he called Mary, because Robyn claims she's making him call all the wives because she's so superior, and he's on the phone with Mary, and he's like saying the strangest things.
Yeah.
It's like, wasn't that cool the other night when we were texting each other about our hopes and dreams? And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, he's like, I really enjoyed that text conversation about the dreams.
Yeah.
And then he's like, we may need to alter those dreams a little bit. What? So weird.
It was, I had no idea what they were talking about. And then she was being really needy and saying, well, call me or text me before you go to bed. Text me to say goodnight. And it's like, he's on his honeymoon. He already called you once. Now you want him to text you later. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I wonder what those dreams are. I think maybe this is how he handles Mary, which is he kind of like, she's probably writing these long texts about like, I envision us doing this, this, and this. And he's like, yeah, great. Okay, great. Yeah.
Sounds good. Put it on your vision board.
On your life list.
Your life list. Yes. Well, and then we're back in Utah now. And Kody says those 7 days were hard for him because Janelle was mad. And then they talk a little bit about Janelle and Kody's relationship, which I thought was really interesting because Janelle's talking about how, you know, they never had this flowery relationship, that they were never cutes and giggle. And she said she didn't know where to fit into this picture. And Christine says she was always jealous of Kody and Janelle's relationship because she was never valued as an intellectual. I think that's very interesting. And I think that's one of the other pieces of, you know, I think it takes such emotional intelligence to have these really healthy relationships with 4 women, which obviously he doesn't. Yeah. So it takes so much of that. So I think that Kody's figured out like how to kind of put each of them in their places and sort of see them as that one way, almost like kind of what parents do to their kids, you know, like you're this kind of kid, you're that kind of kid. And I mean, he must really just only want to talk about certain things with Janelle that he kind of cuts Christine out of, which, Mary doesn't seem to care about that so much, but I just thought that was really, really interesting about this like dynamic of how she felt about their relationship.
Well, she keeps saying they're best friends. We're best friends. We're best friends. We're best friends. And part of me feels like she's trying to convince herself and trying to find a way to stay in that relationship. And I feel bad for her because she deserves more than that, but she doesn't know it yet. And it wasn't until Christine got more than that she was like, huh. I knew she would follow. The minute one of them left, I knew the other would follow.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's kind of like when a group of girlfriends are in miserable marriages and one steps out and gets divorced and then you're all like,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. And then we're finally back from
11 days later.
11 days later, we're back home in Lehi, and we see that little Truly got her photos taken.
So cute.
At the school.
Oh my God.
And then this whole thing. Was this Robyn who was saying this about this exchange that she had so Christine and Robyn had this exchange where Christine says to Robyn, you know, you need to tell me that you needed this. And Robyn said, yes, the 11 days were necessary. And then once she said that, I thought, oh, that's sad.
Well, what
was that a dig? I didn't understand that.
What Kody, so the whole justification for this from Kody was when I married Mary, Christine, and Janelle, we had less kids. Obviously, we didn't have cameras there, whatever. Like our life was quieter and they had more of me. And Robyn will never get that because she's coming into a family with 20 people here already. So I felt it was fair to her to take her away and let her have just me for a while. That was his justification. Yes. And that's what he told Christine. And so that's why Christine was saying to her, like, just tell me that this is what you needed. Because if I know like it was, you know, a make it or break it for you, then that somehow will make it better for me. But I love that. That's just sad.
That's just sad. It's like, okay.
But of course, what else is Robyn going to say? Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I could have done 2. It'd been fine. We could have gone on a road trip. I don't know. Yeah. You know, I didn't.
And again, like Christine didn't have that. Like Kody's explanation is flawed because Christine didn't have that. She came into the family. There were already children, right?
Well, I think Logan. I think that Janelle was pregnant with Logan when they got married.
But like he had 2 other wives there.
Yeah,
like she never really had him to herself.
No, the logic makes no sense because
it's Kody's logic.
They're again, you know. All the wives are saying like Robyn's so lucky because you get this more evolved Kody. And so that's the whole thing about this entire situation and Robyn feeling like she got gypped out of something. It's like, no, you know, you came into the family at this time. Like we cannot change the space-time continuum, you know, like this is how it is. Like this is what you're getting, you know, this is when she came in, this is what she gets.
That's what she loved and wanted, supposedly.
Yes.
So you know what? If you came into a polygamous family with 3 wives and 16 children, that's what you're getting.
Yeah, that's what you're signing
There's
up
no
for.
escaping. You can't do that.
Yeah. Well, again, it's the Kody logic. It's the logic. It's the logic of all of them. They just kind of move their logic around based on, again, this is the religion. You just kind of move things around until it fits what the narrative is that you've told yourself to make yourself feel better. And then I thought this was weird because I had forgotten about this on the first watch, where now we get these scenes of like, okay, now we have to see Kody and Robyn back and now integrating, and all the wives are shopping together, and Kody is basically delegating to the oldest children to cook,
to make dinner. Yeah.
to make dinner.
To Logan.
Yes. Logan's like, yeah, we have stuff to make salad. And I mean,
Logan has like the full inventory of the house.
Exactly.
Like, oh yes, here's what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he asked Gabriel to cook a cake, to bake a cake, right?
Yeah. Cody stood by the grill, did something. He started the grill.
Yeah.
He stood by the grill and hugged Dayton.
Yes. Well, no, that was the best because he was wandering around going, what's going on? Like, oh, we have to cook for the family. And Logan's like, yeah, we have steaks. It's like, of course, Logan knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Logan knows
move over and let Logan take charge.
I wrote this down. And so apparently, I don't know who said this. Like, so Kody tailors how much time he spends with each wife depending on her needs. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's hard it's hard because of how selfish we're being in the moment. I think this was a Mary thing.
It feels like a Mary quote.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's just this idea. Again, this is that same logic of, yeah, he spends time with us based on what we need. But if we're being too selfish in the moment, we're not supposed to, I don't know what I was talking about.
Again, it's like, I feel like that's what his justification for spending more time with someone. He's like, well, they need it. You know, it's just like Robyn needed that 11-day honeymoon.
Yes. So now we watch the women. Now we watch the women at the Star Mill store and shopping. And, Robyn says, this is it. You know, this is the promise of the relationship that I've always wanted with these sister wives.
Christine calling you flat-chested? Brilliant.
Yeah, while you try on strange hats and stuff.
Yeah. Super, super great.
Yeah, that was painful to watch.
And then what was it? She also said that she saw, she made this, Robyn made this comment where in the beginning, when she was first meeting the family, she saw like this big, wonderful family. And then there started to be issues, right? Which is sort of the Mary issues. And now women are like, wait, you're going down to St. George for how long? Right. Like, so, and then Robyn says, now I can see these glimmers of hope coming back. Like, this is the family that I met in the beginning, basically saying, this is the family I signed up for. They're not so jealous of me anymore. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yes. I mean, their courtship was ridiculous. They handled that all wrong. He was driving how long to see her?
Yeah, 5 hours.
Yeah.
Each way?
Yeah. He played that all wrong.
Yeah. Well, he fell in love. I mean, that's the thing, right? I think that if she lived in, Washington, D.C., I think he would be driving out there all the time too. I mean, that was the thing. So when Robyn says she loves to hear how much Kody loves his other wives, it makes her so happy.
No, you don't.
And then at the very end, we get this big, like the big sell of this, which is, I can't remember who said this, was like, being a sister wife is like giving birth. Do you remember hearing this?
Whoa, I don't remember that part.
Being a sister wife is like giving birth. There's lots of pain and discomfort, but you get something kind of special in the end.
Oh, I think this was that a Mary?
I think this is a Mary. Yeah. Normally I write down who says what, but this one I didn't because I thought it was so interesting. It was like, boy, they told me, Mary's like, okay, how do I wrap this all up in a neat little bow here for people to say this is what it's like to be a sister wife and what this process is like?
I don't know. It also feels kind of pragmatic. Like it could be Janelle. I'm not sure. But it's not true.
Yeah, it's
not accurate.
Yeah, it's one of those corny things they say. They do that all the time, like you said, to wrap things up and make everyone think, oh, this is great. It's not so bad. It's worth all the horrible stuff you just saw. Forget that. It's all worth it. And meaningless.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the 11-day honeymoon.
That's a lot. That was a lot.
What a milestone. What a milestone in the Sister Wives universe.
Yes.
A lot of feelings about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I felt really, really bad for Janelle, Christine. I never really feel bad for Mary. I don't know what she's doing. It's almost painful to watch, but did she? Now they put up a statement that she's left him too, correct?
Yeah.
I didn't fever dream that. Okay.
No. They did it.
I had COVID around Christmas, so there's 6 weeks that are fuzzy. Okay, so it's just him, and Robyn,
allegedly. I mean, there has been gossip that there was a pretty good, as far as gossip goes, a pretty good story going around for a while that they had gone down to Mexico to meet someone that they had met online who lived in another country in South America or something. And I was listening to another podcast where they claim they talked to an actual producer who was on set, went to Mexico, and that was their source. So I don't know.
I'll be very surprised if he's doing it. He's literally only doing it for the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I don't think his heart is in it. I really don't.
No, he's probably teasing it just so people will tune in. Because, he's got to keep the money coming. Yeah. He's got to stay relevant.
Oh, my God. That was like part of the appeal of this show for me was just how do grown adults, make such bad financial decisions all the time?
Well, nobody taught him, when you think about how he grew up, nobody taught him about money. He never really had to live in the real world of money. And he went straight from being on this ranch and to going into this church and then to be having these wives. And he never really learned how to be an adult and support himself or get an education or get training in something. It was Arrested Development.
Who is married to demand like the equal size houses as everybody? Like I know that's been trotted over, insane. But it's just ridiculous the way they spend money. It gives me anxiety just watching it because they can't have any money left.
Yeah, no, and he likes it. I mean, why is he, riding around in a sports car, when, his kids don't have medical insurance? Why is there's
he
a lot
was in advertising sales, right?
Yes. I think he sold signs, right?
Yeah, he was
sold
in advertising
signs.
I used to work in advertising. Him having a convertible is like dead on. Like, I feel like a lot of times that was probably a company leased car. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. So,
well, I feel I bet you anything he justified it to the wives saying, well, I need to pull up in a really fancy looking cars to see like to show that I'm super, super successful. But that's that one thing with Janelle is, Janelle's always been the one with the money and focusing on everything. And it's so interesting that Janelle could never stand up to Kody and say, Mary gets a bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, she gets a 2-bedroom. That's it. Like, that's how it is. But Mary has always had this hold over him in some way, shape, or form because she manages to get what she wants.
She gets her way.
But I mean, it's the money part, but it's just, I don't know. I have a teenage boy and he's eating us out of house and home. Like, I don't know how people with all these kids make it. I think it's always been so dire. And I think they've always been trying to play catch up constantly that he just, and then money started rolling in and that's when they started like just buying
I know
things,
a lot of people thought that they were, I don't want to use this word, but maybe using or depending on the system and social services but I think McKelty confirmed, or no, who's the one that's married to Tony? McKelty?
Yeah.
She confirmed that Kody's on all the birth certificates. So there's no scamming happening. So I don't know. I don't know where they're getting their money. I don't know. I mean, salesmen make a good living, but Janelle had a good job too.
Yeah. Janelle probably made more money than he did.
Yeah. No, I think Janelle made the bulk of the money and the mortgage and all of that. And I think that they just, I think you see in season 2, you see Janelle and Kody talking about like, okay, let's pay this bill and not this bill. It's a lot of that.
It's a lot of like 2 sleeping bags.
Yeah.
So it's like,
but you can see in that moment, right, where they're broke and Kody is like, well, let's just buy sleeping bags. And Janelle's like, no. So Janelle's tight with all this stuff. And that's probably why they have electricity, is because of Janelle. Because I swear to God, if they did not have Janelle and they just had Mary and Christine and Kody, they would have been out on the street.
So that just adds an extra layer of outrage. Because if you're Janelle and you're working, Robyn comes in, she's not.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using your money, like family, quote unquote, money to go on an 11-day trip to San Diego, which is not cheap. It would have been cheaper to go to Mexico, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
I'd be outraged.
I'm sure TLC paid for that, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, and one time Janelle made a comment that Kody and Mary both really like nice things.
Yeah.
And you see that they do, they feel entitled
with that wet bar,
with the wet bar,
and
the 5 bedrooms and whatever. And yeah, you see that they do feel entitled. And Kody always has, like, you know, his clothes are always, you know, new looking and crisp and whatever. And, and Janelle has just sacrificed so much. She just needs to be, God, I hope she gets her some money back, you know.
Me too. Well, and now he's a gun dealer, right? So, you know, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how she's going to get the money because she has no legal ties with him. You know, they were never married, you know.
Although she did, like a baller, go out and buy that 5th wheel, which was probably $100,000 easily.
But
so
now what is she going to do with it? I mean, hopefully she can resell it for a decent price.
I hope she can resell it and take it.
Yeah, just keep all the money. Well, it probably was her money to begin with. But yeah, the money that that Janelle and Mary put into Robyn's house, they need that back. So, but yeah, they'll probably never get it.
Brooke, can they lawyer up with you? And you can
I'm ready. I'm not licensed to practice in Utah, but I might just go.
Or might just whisper some legal advice.
Arizona. Yeah, maybe I'd go just take the bar exam just for fun.
Wow.
Just mail her an anonymous letter with exactly what to do.
Right. That's a good idea.
Well, what I wonder about now is Mary and Mary's financial situation, because she has very expensive tastes. So she's living at that. Can she really? I mean, I know she's
just
LuLaRoe.
She makes a ton of money.
Yeah. She makes this much. She makes enough from LuLaRoe. So then, okay, then now it's Kody and Robyn together. How are they going to make money? That's what I think is. I'm very excited for season 18 to see, obviously, the fallout of all of this. But I want to see season 19, 20, where Robyn and Kody are trying to figure out how to, like, start more businesses and make money. Because how are those two going to make the money? And this is why I believe why they're moving.
Probably.
Because if anybody in that family, those two are the ones that work the least.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, and they've been cited a couple times recently in Las Vegas. So I don't know if they're going to go back there because it's less expensive to live. But
they had the perfect setup there. I don't know.
They really did.
I think I was listening to you guys and you were saying, like, they had the perfect setup in that cul-de-sac. Like, that was so dumb.
It was awful.
They left there.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So there had to have been those. I mean, right. The rumors have always been that they had these balloon payments to make, right? Like, that's why they ran, because they couldn't afford the balloon payments, because they tried to get into, that was what, 2011? Things were not great.
It was early.
Yeah. But it was also,
it was after that was after the housing bubble crash.
Yeah.
So it's a miracle. What a miracle. How did they get financing for all those houses after a housing crash? And Robyn, because I remember them saying that Kody and Mary, because they were still legally married, they applied for a mortgage together, but the other 3 were applying as single women. Okay.
And Janelle got hers, no problem.
Janelle got, of course, because she has an income, but neither Christine or Robyn had jobs. How the hell did they qualify?
Remember, there was something wrong with Robyn's financing, and I'm thinking it was her credit score.
Yeah, because she took on the debt from her last. That's another weird thing. She just wanted to get out of the marriage so badly.
Well,
she took on all the debt from.
I did that.
You took on the debt from the last person just to get out.
I took on some of it. Yeah, I was just like, I need to get out of this. So my current husband was not very happy when he had to pay off my ex-husband's car loan. But, sometimes you just have to get out of it. I don't know what the story was with her first husband, but like, I don't know if there was abuse or she had to get out of there quickly. Like, I don't know. So
That's
I find
all
it
a
hard to believe
mystery.
this guy is like awesome if he would just sign his kids away to Kody though. So
Yeah. Well, that whole, we've talked about that too, of just how odd all of that is. And just Aurora, like, yes, you are my father now, Kody, you know, just how crazy all
they just
of that
come
was.
right in, start calling him daddy. Yep. And but I bet you Robyn's parents probably had to co-sign for her.
Maybe. Or because Janelle, maybe.
Yeah, because it seemed like
Can you just have a random person co-sign your house though?
Yeah, I mean, if they're willing to put themselves on the line, yeah, anyone can co-sign for anyone. Yeah. But it seemed like her stepdad kind of seemed like he had it together. Okay. I bet you they co-signed for her.
Maybe.
I don't think Janelle could have done it and get her own house too. I mean, it doesn't make that much money. But yeah, how did Christine get it? You know,
but this is part of the problem. Maybe. Like you can have debt from a previous marriage. You can have a shitty credit score, but like you need to straighten those things out, work those things out on your own. Like when my current husband was helping me pay the car loan of my ex-husband, like I was working too. You know what I mean? Like Robyn just came into his family with all this debt and stuff.
Well, and it had already gone to collect.
You guys work and I'll stay here.
It had already gone into collections. You know what I mean? So she never made an effort to, well, I don't know what she did, but didn't seem like she made an effort to pay it or do anything about it till she got herself in this situation. She had to.
Yeah, I don't know. Struggle with Robyn sometimes because there's times that I don't think she's as evil as everybody else thinks.
Yeah, I don't think she's diabolical. I don't think she's smart enough to be.
I saw her, if you watch the episode where Leon came out, she had one of the best reactions. Yeah. McKelty has also said that she was one of the only people in the family that accepted Tony. Like, I think that she is not a monster. I think that she is often a victim of circumstance. Like, she is often perceived that way just because of her in relation to Kody. Do you know what I mean? And so like, I go back and forth on her. I really do. Like, I'm not going to malign a single mom with 3 kids and 30 grand in debt or whatever. But like where I have a problem with is when you expect other people to pay that debt for you and you're not helping or you're, you know what I mean? That's
because they said that she was working when she was in St. George and then she went to Lehigh and she quote unquote was trying to find a job. And it's like a little bit like anyone can. I'm sorry, you can find a job. You could work at Starbucks in the evenings, Robyn, if you really wanted to.
My kids make $12 an hour at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
You can get a job.
Yeah. Anybody can get it. You know, you can do that. It's just what you want to do. And that always really bothered me too. And I bet you that bothered Janelle. I'm telling you that much.
Yep.
That really bugged her. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're coming into this. You want to be treated as an equal. Look at Christine. She had to work.
Yeah, she's working nights. I mean, she's pregnant.
We all have to pull the train together, you know?
Well, yes.
That was fun.
Yeah, we can talk about this for hours. Amy, thank you so much for being here. Tell us where to find you, how people can follow you, find you.
So I have a few different projects. You can always find me on my website, amyarcher.com. Amy with an E on the end. So AMYE Archer.com. I'm also co-hosting currently, sitting in for a while on Pink Shade on their Patreon. So that's Pink Shade Monkeys. And we're covering Extreme Sisters, Darcy and Stacy. I'm going to be sitting in for a little bit on Brother Husbands, which I'm super excited about. I can't even tell you.
I'm going to have to listen to that.
I also have my own podcast called Gen X This Is Why that I host with my sister. And we did the Pamela Anderson documentary, but now we have this little sub brand that we do called Gen X That Was a Thing. And we just recorded about Steven Stainer. Do you guys remember that?
Oh my God.
Yes. And Carrie, his brother. So we just talked about that.
Yeah, our hometown.
You're close, right?
Is Ukiah, where
I was born in Ukiah,
where Timmy White was abducted. And I've been obsessed
we remember
with that
this one. Yes,
since I was like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Because
so we just did that. It's amazing what happened in that family.
Is that's a separate podcast?
Well, you can find it on the Gen X This Is Why feed. It's just like a little, sub brand.
All right, I'm going to look that up for sure.
Yeah, because the Steven Stainer, because I remember I was like 6-7 years old. And I remember so distinctly, welcome to the 70s and 80s people where, nothing's sheltered from your kids. So, there were signs up all over the place for this kid this kid. And I remember so distinctly, like, yes, he came back. Oh my God, that's great. And he had another kid came with him. I mean, I remember that story so much. And they show in the documentary where to get from Point Arena, which is where they were being held captive, to Ukiah was just how these kids lived. I mean, just in the middle of the dead of night. Yeah. It's an insane.
Someone picked them up,
found them
because it's like a 45-mile windy road. Out in the middle of nowhere, very remote. So they got lucky. Somebody came, picked them up and just drove them to the police station in Ukiah.
Well, and one of the things I obsessed about, and I talk about this in our coverage, is I, as a kid, could never understand why he didn't leave. You know what I mean? Like, I knew nothing about psychological manipulation. Like, you don't know anything about that when you're a kid. But then when they interviewed Kay, his mother, in the new documentary that's out, she was talking about, he did try to escape at one point, but like you said, he went outside. He's in the middle of nowhere. He's 7. You know what I mean? So he just went back in the house and was like, okay.
Well, and also they were telling him, because at the time, Kenneth Parnell had some other guy kind of working with him, helping him.
Erwin Murphy, I think his name was.
Yeah. And they were telling Stephen, well, your family doesn't want you back.
Yeah.
They're mad at you because you did something bad and they don't want you. And when you're 7, you believe that if someone tells you enough times.
Yeah. And what happened is he had found out from like a nosy postal worker or something that Stephen had gotten in trouble and gotten spanked or yelled at, some kind of punishment a couple of days before. And that's what he used as his manipulation. Like, oh, didn't you just get in trouble for something? Well, your mom and dad said they don't want you anymore, like that kind of thing. And Stephen believed it. It's a fascinating case. And then of course we know what happened with Carrie. So
it's very tragic. And then what happened to Stephen as an adult, he was killed in a motorcycle accident, and very sad.
Yeah, that area, Ukiah, there's a lot of stuff that happens up there because it is so remote.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where they found the polyclass killer was in a trailer outskirts of Ukiah. Jim Jones was up in Willits, that whole area, Redwood Valley. Yeah, that whole area up there, because Ukiah is 15,000, population 15,000. And that's like the big city.
Wow.
So that's why for them, I mean, you can imagine he was so far out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then you just kind of get used to this life. I guess he just sort of accepted this as my new normal. It's just,
Well, what killed me, the saddest part of that last documentary was when they interviewed like a couple teachers and his old classmates at the high school in Point Arena. And they all said, it was really weird. Nobody really knew like anything about where he was living or who he was living with. He said he was living with an uncle or something. Nobody could go inside their house, the trailer, that Stephen always wore the same clothes. They were always dirty, that like literally he had no socks and like his
shoes with holes in
were dirty. Why didn't somebody call CPS?
Oh, that was the 70s.
Yeah. I mean, but that's
mind your own business.
I guess. I just think it's shocking. And those teachers, I mean,
well, what I found interesting is, and Jenny and I talk a lot about this on Gen X, This Is Why, is Kay says at some point, I feel culpable in some way because I taught Stephen to respect authority and to trust institutions. And like, so Ken Parnell is dressed as a priest. And so of course, like he thinks he doesn't question it. And I'm like, Gen Xers kids question everything. My kids question everything. Like, you're not getting away with anything with my kids.
Well, we put the fear of God into them.
Yeah, it's a generational shift for sure.
Because we saw so much horrible stuff. I mean,
well, and I remember being age and feeling like, could I get kidnapped? Is it going to happen to me? Right. I mean, it was just talk. I mean, especially, and if it's in your hometown, this is tiny little town, it's all happening. You're like, oh my God, this could happen.
Yep.
Oh man, the 70s and the 80s. I'm amazed we're alive.
Oh my gosh.
When I look back on some things, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like no seatbelts.
No supervision, basically from the we were latchkey kids. You know, we came home after school and no supervision. That's when all the bad stuff happened. You know,
well, think about the world like the boomers grew up in, especially like my parents were like, they weren't middle class by any stretch of the imagination, but like they were, you know, white boomers, like the world catered to them.
Yeah.
So like they just had this idyllic childhood and they thought we would too, but like the world had changed and they didn't realize this. And so like we're out there, like I can remember being 12, 11, hitchhiking, doing all sorts of different things. And like I would die if my kids did that today. There's no way. My kids would be terrified. First of all, they would never, but it's just so strange.
Yeah, I know. And then they make fun of us for being like helicopter parents or this, but it's like, we saw what happens when you don't watch your kids. It is not good. Okay. I'm sorry. I did not want my daughter doing stuff at 12 and 13 that I was doing at 12 and 13. So I'm in a helicopter.
Maybe that's why this stuff with Logan and Aspen like triggers us. Cause we're like, they're not getting attention. Those kids, like they're just kind of going along in the shuffle, and it kind of strikes a Gen X chord with us.
It does. Because we didn't get enough attention either. So we know how it feels.
All right. Well, on that note,
so that episode will be out
about when we're confronting our parents.
Yeah,
get enough attention to us.
That episode will be out April 3rd. So that's where you can find it.
Can't wait. God, marking this down my calendar.
Yes. Well, and if you like this podcast, please give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. And what's the other thing? Follow us. It's subscribe to the podcast if you like it. And we're now on TikTok and Instagram as Psych Legal Pop. So hopefully, please follow us so you get updates on when all the podcasts are going to be out. Thank you so much, Amy. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.